What's up? What's up? What's excuse me, y'all. What's up? What's up, everybody? I am back. I know we just got off of here, but shout out to Xavier for sending me this information. And I talked to my producer, y'all know, aka Tracy, child. Y'all know Tracy is my producer, honey. I talked to my producer and we decided that we needed to go live and talk about this. Okay. We decided that this was a conversation that I needed to have with the people so we could talk about it. We could really dig into this situation. Okay. I ain't heard nobody else talking about this. So I'm going to just go on and say we breaking a story. Okay. We are breaking the story. Okay. I ain't heard nobody else talking about it. So we are breaking the story. Now, I have the link here. I meant to put it in the description box, but I will put it in the chat before we get out of here. It is a lengthy article, but I said, let me come back and go live, and then we can break this whole thing down, okay? So, for those who don't know what's going on, the headline, the title reads as follows. Robyn Dixon's fiancé / ex-husband / partner / what other word you want to put in there. He has been named in a lawsuit. Now, for those who do not know, he is currently the head coach over the Coppin State, a HBCU in Baltimore, Maryland. And he is a former NFL player. He played for the local team here, Washington Wizards. He's a local guy. He grew up, born and raised in Baltimore. He went to the University of Maryland, where he was a star player. All that great stuff. People locally, Juan Dixon is a name. People knew who Juan Dixon was long before we knew who a Robyn Dixon was. But of course, nowadays, he is connected to his ex-wife / soon-to-be wife again, Rob Dixon from the Real Housewives of Potomac, right? So this story, this was in the local, in the Maryland. I'm gonna give you guys the information. So this was in the newspaper, and again, it is a lengthy article, but we're going to break the whole article down. We got a few minutes. We got a little bit of time. So I kind of rushed through it on my live because I was reading it for the first time, but now I had time to read through everything, kind of understand what was going on and get the breakdown of the breakdown. So this article is in the Baltimore Brew. And like I said, I'll give you guys the link. But former player sues. Shut up, Tracy. Former player sues Coppin State over alleged sexual assault and blackmail by assistant coach. Now, first of all, let me do my shout outs. I see my people in the chat. What's up, y'all? Simply Clever. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Tracy, what's going on? Hey, Demille. Hey, Southern Belle, Creative Diva. Yes, what's up, little baby? I just came from another live about this here. It's a whole lot. The boys about to own all of Baltimore. Okay, so somebody else is talking about, okay, good. Okay, we still breaking the story. I don't care. All right, Lovely 31. What's up, love? Hey, Ramel, how you doing? Nafessa, hey, what's up? Okay, yeah, we back, honey, because we're gonna talk about this Rob Dixon thing a little bit. Okay, I'm sorry, Juan Dixon situation. So again, Coppin State is the HBCU in Baltimore. So former player sues Coppin State over alleged sexual assault and blackmail by assistant coach. Okay, a lurid scheme of sexual harassment and extortion played out under the nose of Coppin State's celebrated head coach, the lawsuit says. You gonna finish up your Chipotle? I know that's right. I got my dessert. I ordered me some dessert. My dessert will be here in a few minutes, honey. Coppin State assistant basketball coach catfished a player online into providing intimate photos and text. Y'all gonna get enough of sending out these personal pictures and stuff down to this good Al Gore's good internet. Y'all gonna get enough of it, okay? Then blackmailed him into videotaping a sexual encounter before publicizing the material when the player resisted further demands for sex. The legal complaint. Oh, I'm sorry. I done jumped there. No, I didn't. The legal complaint says, by information and belief, Lucian Brownlee. This is in the article, so I'm just going to read the names. Lucian Brownlee, a former guard who served as director of player development and director of basketball operations, harassed, tormented, and sexually assaulted the player by the name of Iben Williams before publishing intimate materials he obtained from the student. Oh. Coppin basketball coach Juan Dixon, who is named in the complaint, allegedly failed to take action when informed of Brownlee's actions. A legendary figure in Baltimore and beyond, Dixon is the former University of Maryland standout and NBA player who Coppin hired in the spring of 2017. Also named in the lawsuit, I didn't realize he had been working there since 2017. That's a long time. Also named in the lawsuit filed last week is Coppin State University, whose officials, rather than supporting the distraught Williams, allegedly questioned him harshly and retaliated against him by withdrawing previously promised financial assistance. So instead of listening to him and believing him and acting accordingly, they not only did they not believe him, this is all alleged in the lawsuit, not only did they not believe him, but then they withdrew financial assistance that they had promised him. The way he was treated is abhorrent, says Williams' attorney Daniel Epstein of the New Jersey law firm Epstein Ostrov on the phone in a phone interview. Epstein said they were able to build their case despite the anonymous blackmailer purporting to be a third party. Okay, hold on. This is where it's about to start getting interesting, child. Epstein said they were able to build their case despite the anonymous blackmailer purporting to be a third party. Okay. Our strong belief is that Lucian himself is the catfisher. Dixon had prior knowledge of issues with Brownlee, according to the complaint, and he should never have placed him in a position of authority over players. So not only are they saying he didn't do anything about it to begin with, they're saying that he already knew that there was drama and he should have never got this position over to have any authority over the players. The coach should have known better than to put this person in a position of seniority. Honey. The Brew was not able to reach Brownlee for any sort of comment. Honey. Mm, 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 mm. Well, we know they reached out for comment. Hold on. Let me do this real quick. Mm, 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 mm. Mm, 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 mm. All right. They will have to prove he already knew that information. Yeah, they're going to have to prove it. Yeah, they'll have to prove it. Okay. Let me get back to the article. Okay. Dixon did not respond to a phone message and an email request and comment about the matter. Well, he's not going to do that. At this point, they'll only be able to speak. Well, they should only be able to speak to an official spokesperson through the college because the college is a part of this lawsuit. Juan Dixon should not be speaking to anybody outside of the only person that really should be speaking is whoever handles media relations for Coppin State at this point. But okay. Um, they also reached out to the school's athletic director, Derek Carter. He ain't gonna speak to y'all either. Coppin State University spokeswoman Robyn McCullough, that's the only person that's gonna probably speak to y'all, responded to an email by saying Coppin State University does not comment on pending litigation. And that's probably all y'all gonna get. And that's probably, I mean, that's the smart thing. That's what they teach us. Y'all, for those who do not know, yeah, I have my administrator's degree. I am certified to be I could be a principal if I wanted to. And that's one of the classes that we had to take. And that's the first thing they tell us about media relations. When you don't say nothing. Everything goes through the official spokesperson for the school district or representative. You don't say nothing to nobody for no reason. Okay? Let's get into this things. Coppin, a HBCU in the Maryland State University system, is known as Morgan's crosstown rival. Like many Division I NCAA programs, it operates on a shoestring budget, working its players hard. In the fall of 2021, or shortly after the events alleged in the lawsuit occurred, Sports Illustrated featured a team in a story about its road schedule, which is called a sadistic slate of 80,000 guaranteed games. It's a challenge for the team's leader. I don't know of many head coaches who are washing their players' dirty laundry every night, Dixon says in the piece, joking that his water bill back home spikes after game nights. Brownlee appears to no longer be working for the university. He's in the wind, Epstein said. As of the Sports Illustrated story, his scheduling job was being done by another person who is extensively quoted in the piece. So Brownlee ain't nowhere to be found right now. Okay, right now Brownlee is nowhere to be found. Now I will say this. Now I went to a small HBCU and we wasn't even Division I, and we had a damn washer and dryer. I worked for the team, and part of my job when we got home from a home game was to wash the damn laundry. Well, at least put it in the washing machine. So I'm just saying if Bennett could get a wash and dryer, I don't understand why Coppin can't. But that's another conversation for another day. Child, ain't got nothing to do with me. Okay. Williams says in the complaint that he received a message through social media in the fall of his freshman year from a woman who seemed interested in a romantic relationship. He was enticed into sending images of himself to the person of a sexual nature, dick pics, and he believed were private. Now that's your first mistake. Why would you believe anything being sent through private? Why? Anyway, in the context of a developing romantic relationship, child, now that I ain't going down that road with you. We too old for that. Anything you send on the internet, whether it's a relationship or not, is subject to other people saying it. That's just it. The online paramour then started blackmailing Williams, threatening to publish the photos and text unless he provided more salacious material. The text continued through the 2018-2019 basketball season, while Williams, in fear of losing his place on the basketball program, his tuition and room and board, continued to respond to the person messaging him in a futile attempt to appease his tormentor. Okay. In spring of 2019, Williams learned from Coach Brownlee, then a senior who will return the next year as a staff member, that Brownlee had also exchanged sexual contact with the plaintiff's tormentor. So what he did was Brownlee tried to talk to old boy and say, look, that same person that's that's blackmailing you, they blackmailed me too. They did this to me too. Okay. The blackmailer then ordered the two men to have sex with each other, according to the lawsuit. Williams refused at first, but then he returned to campus in the fall. The blackmailer demanded that Williams record and send a video of plaintiff engaging in oral sex. I have thoughts. I'm going to finish, but I got some thoughts. Okay. In December 2019, the blackmailer instructed Williams that Brownlee was going to coordinate a sexual encounter with him, according to the lawsuit. Williams resisted, hoping his non response would end the blackmail, prompting warnings the blackmailer would wild out. Williams sent videos of himself, but the blackmailer insisted on one of himself having sex with Brownlee and repeatedly sent message providing Coach Brownlee's availability. Child. The back and forth continued through March of 2020, according to the suit. By information and belief, the blackmailer was Coach Brownlee, the complaint said. Unable to tell anyone what was happening and contemplating unaliving himself, Williams told his family he was uncomfortable with the rampant drug use on the team during frequent away games. That prompted his father to arrange a meeting with COP and officials, the complaint says, in which Dixon indicated that he was helpless to address the drug issue in any meaningful way and was adamant that the plaintiff should stay with the program. Why you can't do nothing about them smoking weed? Because I'm sure that's what we talking about, is them smoking weed. I mean, you can't be with them 24 hours a day, and I guess but the NCAA doesn't have a drug policy. Okay. When Williams returned to campus in the fall of 2020, the blackmail and threats continued. This time, Williams didn't respond, and that's when the material used to blackmail the plaintiff was published and revealed to members of the team, staff, and the public. Epstein says the material appeared on Instagram and has since been taken down. Dixon directed Williams to come to practice the next day, where the two met, and according to the complaint, Dixon admitted that Lucian Brownlee was mentally ill or otherwise emotionally imbalanced, and that his history was known to the coach and the athletic director at the school. But the complaint says the school, whose policy on sexual misconduct prohibits the R word, sodomy, quid pro quo, stalking, sexual exploitation, coercion, retaliation, took no action to remedy the situation. Williams asked for an investigation in which, according to the lawsuit, a lawyer for the university further traumatized him with questions about his sexual past and orientation. It's cringeworthy, the questions that he was asked, Epstein said. Coppin State then terminated Williams' housing and tuition assistance. Epstein says he managed to complete the semester by working remotely and then transferred to another school to complete his degree. Child, this is a whole mess. So let's We got to unpack some stuff. Okay. I don't even know where to start, y'all. So let's start with the big picture, and we're gonna break it down. So the big picture is a woman slid into your DMs, or allegedly you thought it was a woman, slid into your DMs and addressed you. Y'all got to talking, flirting. She asked for a dick pic, you sent it. The woman continued to ask for more pictures, you continue to send it. And then they threatened to expose you if you did not engage in a relationship with your assistant coach slash player coach, because he was still a student at the time, but he was on staff. He just wasn't a full-time coach at the time. And that's not when you went to somebody. See, okay. So that's when it didn't occur to you at that point to say, as soon as the woman, no, Melly, you done came up. No, Juan is no. This don't have nothing to do with Juan. No, 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 Melly, no. Don't start that. No, that don't have no. You were being cat. Okay, a woman slid into your DMs, asked for some pics. You sent them. Happens all the time. That's not a big deal. Then the person threatened to expose these pictures if you did not engage in a sexual situation with your assistant coach. I think some of this story is missing. Because, right, it really don't have a whole lot to do with Juan. The only reason why Juan is a part of it is because the person is alleging that Juan knew that this person was unstable, and that when he went to Juan told him basically wasn't nothing he could do about it. So because he's the head coach is why Juan is even a part of this. It's okay, but so here's the thing. I never want to feel like I'm blaming the victim. So my questions are not me blaming the victim. My questions are me. What's up, Pam? I just got finished looking at your video. I was looking at your video while I was getting ready to do this one. Y'all, I was gonna tell y'all a little bit later, but Bishop Whitehead is suing somebody else, and Pam just did a video on it. So if y'all want the update on what's going on with Bishop Whitehead, y'all go and check her out when we get done over here. Y'all go check her video out. She just did it a little while ago. But Pam, I need you to work with me on this one because I'm confused. So I don't want to come off as I'm blaming the victim, because I never want to feel like I'm blaming the victim. I don't want to do that. This person clearly is a victim of somebody. I'm just a little confused. If I were in college and I sent nudes to a guy that I thought was trying to get with me, and that guy then threatened to expose me, and I'm a star athlete, so people know who I am. Coppin is a small school. Everybody know everybody. You're on the basketball team. Everybody know you. So I get it. But their way of blackmailing me is they want me to engage in a homosexual situation with another woman who's one of the coaches. And this went on for years. Like, this went on for like 2 years. much here that I'm not understanding? Um, Hold on, y'all. That's my dessert. Hold on. Coming. Dang, they banging on the door and ringing the doorbell. Hold on, y'all. Think of so right. So the assumption is that this Brownlee guy, who is he was a player coach. So okay, there's people coming in the room. So let me start from the beginning. I'm gonna give y'all the breakdown, and then we're gonna come together. Okay. So this story is about Juan Dixon is only a part of it because he's the head coach of the team. A player for Coppin State said that starting in 2017, no, he didn't say Juan started working. Became the coach in 2017. Hold on, because I don't want to lie on nobody. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Fall of 2021. Okay, so this started in fall of 2021. So this started last year. Yeah. So last school year, the beginning of fall 2021-22 school year, that's when this started. In the fall of 2021, or shortly after the events alleged in the lawsuit occurred. Okay. All right. Williams says in the complaint that Williams is the guy that's saying this happened to him. That he received a message through social media in the fall of his freshman year. So I'm assuming that 2021 was his freshman year. That's the assumption I'm making here. He was enticed into sending images of himself to this person of a sexual nature that he believed were private and in the context of a developing romantic relationship. Now, he says that he believed that he thought it was coming from a woman. So this young man identifies at the very least as bisexual. But because he thought it was a woman and he was engaging in a relationship with the woman, I'm not. I mean, when I say at the very least, I don't know what if he identifies as bisexual or not. But he's not. He didn't think he was in a relationship with a man. He thought this was a woman reaching out to him. So okay. Now he's saying he was enticed. Child, he sent some dick pics. Okay, it happens. Men send them all day long, whether you ask for them or not. Sometimes you just open up and man be like, "Hey," and you be like, "What?" And so men do it all the time. Women, I'm sure, do it too, but I don't know nothing about what women do. Okay. Oh no, y'all. This started before 2021. And I'm gonna tell you why, because let me read you this. The online paramour that's an interesting title. Online paramour. Anyway, then started blackmailing Williams, threatening to publish the photos and texts unless he provided more salacious material. The text continued through 2018, 2019. So this started before 2020. 2020, I guess, is the law. I don't know what 2020 came in. But this started at least in 2017. This started in at least 2017. So this started a couple of years ago. So this was through the 2018-2019 basketball season. Williams, who was in fear of losing his place on the basketball program, his tuition and room and board payments, continued to respond to the person messaging him in a futile attempt to appease the tormentor. In spring of 2019, Williams learned from Coach Brownlee. Now, Brownlee is the guy that he's saying he think is catfishing him. Learned from Coach Brownlee. He was a senior then who would return the next year as a full-time staff member. So he was still a senior at the school, but he was working for the team, and he was allegedly supposed to come back the next year as a full-time staff member. The blackmailer then ordered. He found out that Brownlee allegedly was being blackmailed by the same person. So basically, Brownlee went up to Williams and was like, "Yo, bruh, this chick blackmailing you. She blackmailing me too. Yo, she is blackmailing me too." So he tried to hit him up like he was a victim, just like Williams was a victim, but what the lawsuit is saying is that the catfisher, the blackmailer, and Brownlee is all the same person. That's what they're trying to say. Williams refused at first. The blackmailer then ordered the two men to have sex with each other, according to the lawsuit. Williams refused at first, but when he returned to campus in the fall, the blackmailer demanded that Williams record and send a video of the plaintiff and Brownlee engaging in oral sex. Y'all got so many questions. Williams resisted, hoping his non-response would end the blackmail, prompting warnings the blackmailer would wild out. In December of 2019, the blackmailer instructed Williams that Brownlee was going to coordinate a sexual encounter with him, according to the lawsuit. So now the blackmailer is telling you that Brownlee, your coach, is going to coordinate a sexual encounter with you? So when he finally did tell somebody, he told his father he just wanted to get off the team because he wasn't comfortable with all the drug use. And then his father went up to talk to the coach, and the coach basically said, "It ain't really nothing I can do about the drug use. I can't do nothing about that." When Williams returned to campus in fall of 2020, now Peace Love brought up a good point, y'all. That was pandemic time. In fall of 2020, the blackmail and threats continued. This time, Williams didn't respond, and that's when the material used to blackmail the plaintiff was published and revealed to members of the team, staff, and the public. And allegedly, that's when Juan Dixon said, we know that Lucian Brownlee is mentally ill or emotionally imbalanced, and that his history was known to the coach and to the athletic director. Y'all, I'm confused about a lot of things right now. How does that just become a casual conversation you have with somebody? You being blackmailed? I'm being blackmailed too. You been blackmailed by this crazy lady that wants you to send her crazy pictures? Yeah, me too. Like, how does somebody just walk up to you and be like, you being blackmailed? I'm being blackmailed too. Like, don't even make no sense, y'all. Like, again, I'm something about this don't make no sense to me. It's not adding up in my brain. I mean, am I tripping? Y'all tell me in the chat if I'm tripping. Something ain't adding up in the brain for me. Yeah, was it published? Because it said it was published. Was it just published on Instagram? Was it published on some sort of like Coppin State website? Was it published on Instagram and then hashtag Coppin State, hashtag? Like, when you say it was published, where was it published? Who saw it? And you mean to tell me that you were more afraid of a random dick pic being posted on Instagram than you were of engaging in oral activities with a same gender person? Because I'm assuming he's trying to say he ain't gay. I would be like, go on and post it. Like, don't get me wrong, I would be embarrassed. Like, nobody wants to be like, yeah, go ahead and post a dick pic of me. But I feel like I would be leaning more towards go ahead and post a dick pic of me than me engaging in a homosexual relationship with, first of all, I'm not gay. And second of all, with my supervisor, my coach. Like, there's so much to this that don't make no sense to me. And it was absolutely wrong if that's true that he went to Juan Dixon and Juan Dixon's response was less than, what it should have been. But there's so many things here that I'm just so confused about. There's definitely been, listen, I got about 20 minutes. I'm going to drop the link. Maybe y'all can share some stuff with me. Maybe y'all can share some stuff with me. Because this not making no sense to me. And again, I do not want to come off that I am blaming the victim. I do believe this young man was a victim of something. I just think that the young man is leaving some stuff out of this story because he's embarrassed. I think it's more to this story than what we are getting. Now, allegedly this guy's been fired and he's in the wind. Can't nobody find him. But it just ain't making no sense to me, y'all. And some of this stuff just ain't making no sense to me. Right. It's given that he was, okay, Mo Media said it's given that he was sleeping with his coach. Maybe he was. Maybe he was sleeping with his coach. Maybe he was being outed. I don't think he ever thought it was a girl. I'm going to be honest with you. That's where the first part of this story don't make no sense to me. I don't think he ever thought it was a girl. I don't think so. I think he knew all along it was a guy. I don't think he knew who it was, though. I do think he was catfished. I do not believe he knew who it was. But I do believe he thought it was a man. Now, that's just my opinion, y'all. That's my opinion. Okay? Y'all, this is a mess. This situation is a mess. I think that he knew, I think he knew it was a guy. I think he was willingly engaging in sexual conversations and yada, yada, yada with a man. I do believe that. And I believe that's why he was so afraid of it coming out. I believe that's where the blackmail originated. And I think that this Brownlee guy told him exactly who he was at a certain point. I think that he knew who was blackmailing him at a certain point. And then once he found out, then he was stuck. I think when he went to Juan Dixon, he knew exactly who was blackmailing him. He knew exactly what was going. I think he had that information. I don't think it was a question mark at that point. I don't know how much proof he had. I don't know how much proof he may have had. Lana, hold on, y'all. Hey, Lana, is that you?
Hey, can you hear me?
You're kind of low. I can hear you, but you're kind of low.
How about now?
Okay, that's better. So what you got to add to this?
it's a really unfortunate um, situation, really. And I think one thing that we have to know, like in these times, if you actually like talk to these undergrads, they go to school and like it's kind of always been like this. So I'm not saying that this is like specific to the present times, but they kind of are going on these campuses all over the country, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if you talk to them, they will tell you like if they were to ever end up in an abusive situation on campus with a faculty member, they know for a fact that the school will not protect them by any
Agreed.
means. They talk about it all the time, and they just understand that if they were to end up in such an abusive, unfortunate situation like that, that they are literally on their own until they can get their own support, get their own lawyers, that sort of thing, get enough evidence, that sort of thing, because it will almost always end up going head to head with the school because the school is not going to get rid of any of these tenured coaches and professors. They're just not. So I
I
think
agree.
it doesn't surprise me when these students just kind of play along and kind of continue because in their head it probably really is like if I just continue for a little while longer, maybe they'll leave me alone, and that is the safest, quickest way out of this situation. And that's
Mm-hmm.
all I have to say.
Well, thanks for coming up. I appreciate you. And I agree with Lana said. I think that I believe the story. I believe that this young man was exploited. I believe that this coach took advantage of his position. I believe that 100%. I just think that the young man might be a little embarrassed about the way the situation actually went down, and his version of the story is a little convoluted. But I believe that he was taken advantage of. I do believe that. That I believe. What you got, Tracy?
I got questions and I got thoughts, and I just have all the things.
Okay, come on,
Because
girl.
at first I was like, well, maybe he did think it was a female, because if he got catfished, I was like, oh, so maybe in the beginning he did think it was a female. But
Okay.
then when it went to the, actual acts with another guy, I was like, so did you think it was a female? Okay, wait, that confused me a little bit. But then also it's like if he lost his scholarship and he got kicked out, but nothing really happened to I'm so confused by this whole process. Like at some point I'm like, do I believe something happened? 100%. Like I absolutely 100% believe something happened. I believe something happened and it wasn't right. Absolutely. I'm just trying to parse through the story because to me it just seems like, wait, so you lost your scholarship, which means, so if it was an athletic scholarship, was Juan the one who like put you up for your little scholarship to sign off on it to go to the heads of the department? So did he say like, no, he doesn't really like? How did that? Is Juan a part of that piece of it, or was it an academic scholarship? And because of all the things that was happening, your grades started to slip, and then you lost your scholarship, or like,
No, I believe it was an academic. I mean, I believe it was an athletic scholarship, and that's a good question because the athletic director can pull a scholarship, but the coach can also. I mean, depends on the different schools and stuff. But the coach definitely has oversight over that. So him losing his scholarship, that will be interesting to find out if Juan Dixon had anything to do with this young man losing his scholarship. Now that is important.
no, because I'm like, I'm listening to the story, I'm following the story. I'm like, okay, wait. So maybe he did think. I was like, but then once they started telling you to do things with people, or was it say, now that I have the pictures, I am now going to make you do things with me because I have the pictures. So I lured you with this female just to get the pictures. So that piece, I'm like, I don't know if he thought, if he's just saying it was I was, being catfished by a person, and it was really you just talking to this person who was above you, who
None of it's adding up for
I
me.
don't know, it's just weird.
Correct. That's not true. Coaches absolutely have things to do with scholarships. Coaches go out on recruiting trips all the time and offer kids scholarships. So now they don't have they don't have the final say a lot of times, but they absolutely have discretion to offer athletic scholarships. Now, if there are certain things that have to be done, paperwork and certain things, have to be maintained and all of that, GPA and stuff like that. But coaches absolutely have authority to offer, and they also can go to the athletic director or go to, whoever is in charge and say, hey, this person is not fulfilling, they're breaking team rules, they're doing this, they're doing that, and they can pull the scholarship. So that coaches do have purview. Now, it's different school to school. It's different based on the program. And it's even different based on the sport. But don't sit here and tell me a Nick Saban don't have nothing to do with who gets a scholarship and who don't at his program. Like, they absolutely do.
Right.
Yeah. What were you going to say? Xavier, what were you going to say, baby? And then I'm going to come to you, Mo. Hey, boo.
I said this in the chat, and I'm going to say it again. This is a DL situation gone wrong. Yeah, I can't, because here's the thing. Like, this would make sense if we were talking about some 40-year-old businessman who had some old ball and what is it? The ball and cudgel, or what is the phrase? Old ball and chain for like 40 years and wanted to try something new. But you're telling me that this young man who grew up in the social media age got catfished in 2021?
Yeah, 2019.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
2018, he got catfished in 2019?
Nope.
Maz, what's my likes looking like? We got 98 people in the chat. We are breaking stories over here. We trying to break it down. Y'all, please make sure y'all are hitting that like button. Appreciate you.
Y'all better show that free love.
Right. There you go, Mo. It's free love.
Yeah, I don't.
It's 56 likes. Okay, we need to get at least 75 likes. There's 100 people in the room. We need at least 75%. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you know what?
I don't believe that.
Like I said, something about this story in the beginning. Again, do I think this young man was a victim? Absolutely. Do I think that it was handled appropriately at the school based on the information that we have? I'm going to say no. But I do think there's more to the story than what we're getting. And I understand why he may not be open to telling the whole story. Like, I get it. You're embarrassed, or, I understand. Maybe you haven't come out to your family. Maybe you aren't gay. I don't know. There are a lot of different reasons why, but I just think there's more to this story than what we get. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And also, how they keep on referencing her as a paramour. How are you a paramour to somebody you don't see?
Yeah, I don't even know where they threw that word. They just threw a paramour. That's not even, no.
Right.
A paramour is a companion. You have to see them. You have to be with them. So unless they're trying to say
just let them have it.
That at some point you guys were together, that Brownie and him were together, or they were seen together a lot, it's confusing. Mm-hmm. And also, did they do the action that the blackmailer told them to do? Or I'm so confused about what was revealed and what wasn't revealed to the public.
Right.
Yeah, when they said in the article that the pictures were published to the school, blah blah blah, like, was it put on like a school website or page or something? Because we know you got those private chat groups and stuff like that. Was it used the hashtag cop and state? Like, how? And it doesn't matter how it was exposed. I'm just curious as to how that happened. What you got, Mo? Oh, wait a minute, somebody else in here. Hold on. Go ahead, Mo.
It's not like Xavier was saying. I think that is like all of us are saying right now. All of us pretty much saying that he's not telling the truth. Or I don't want to call him a liar, but also he ain't. We also see right through this now. I think he lost his scholarship because of the missing piece. I think he lost his credibility and his scholarship and all that, with the university. Not so much so because they were trying to protect the coach, but because I think they were sleeping together and they got found out some way. As far as this, catfish situation, like Xavier was saying, there's no in 2019. You can't get catfish anymore, especially as an athlete in college.
No, you can still
You
get
know,
catfish. You can get catfish.
you got girls, coming to you left and right. It's college. Everybody's coming at everybody left and right. You definitely can tell if somebody's real or not, based off of
Mm,
how open they are.
I'm
Listen,
gonna
I
say
think
this.
he
I
knew
mean,
that
is
this
it
wait.
was a
harder? Is it
man.
harder to do it? Sure, but can it still be done? Absolutely. I mean, think about it. Think about it. I'm gonna just speak for myself. It's
Mm.
absolutely possible. Like maybe y'all, I get it, maybe, but it is possible. Maybe it
No,
would
it's
never happen
possible.
to y'all.
For like a younger
My
guy,
son is my son was sheltered. He went off to college for the first time and had never been away from anyone else, and he was catfished, and he there so it's completely possible. Now, was it a girl? Yeah, it was a girl, but
I'm
it
just
wasn't a
not.
girl he had the picture of for the thing when he went to meet the girl. So is it
Mm.
possible? It is. If so, we don't know if the kid was like I'm sheltered, I'm away from home, I'm in college where I don't know anyone. Or was he a local? Does he have, friends and family around? Because I think it's easy to be like, oh, you can't be catfished in this day and age. But if you're away from home when you don't know nobody and it's just you and you're online talking to people and things like, it's it's probably easier for young and naive to get catfished than,
And the other
someone
question
else.
too
It
is
has
when
to
you
be
start talking
young
about
and
cat.
naive.
Well, I get it, but the other thing too, when you talk about like in this situation, how soon did he send those pictures in the
Right.
situation? Like, did you start talking to this person on Monday and by Wednesday they had convinced you to send the dick pics? Because once that person has possession of your intimate pictures, then it's not like they have to do the whole long catfish situation. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't that extent. It
Yeah.
doesn't sound like it was that extensive. It sounds like they slid in their DMs, probably talked him up a little bit, told him how cute he was, and remember he was a freshman in high school. I mean, he was a freshman in college, which means he literally just got out of high school, and somebody slid into his DMs telling him how cute he is, and you the man, and you this and you that. Oh, you on the basketball team? Oh man. Oh, can I come to the game? Oh my goodness. And then they got to talking one night and send me this. And who's to say that the person he was talking to didn't send a picture first? That don't mean it was their picture. I'm talking about intimate
But
picture.
True.
So,
I'm
that's
thinking
my thing. If you
in
send
this
a picture that's not
generation,
yours,
like Snapchat is big and like things of that nature. Like Snapchat became big because of catfish. You know what I mean? So if somebody sees
right,
somebody
right, right, right.
insanely pretty, like you, let me FaceTime. Let me do something. Somebody mentioned IG got FaceTime. That's part of the reason. We need to see if you real. Like I feel like if he had any inkling that she wasn't real, like you said, we don't know how fast this all happened because we do be quick to send that picture, but
Yeah, I mean,
um, there
I've
had to
had
be
people
some
send me
sort of
pictures that I never
inkling.
asked for. I don't even know why you thought I wanted that.
Yeah, you be feeling real pervy. I'm guilty of doing that too because it's just blame it on the hormones. I don't know that
Bossy,
men and them pictures.
yeah, Bossy, that's a point too. Bossy said either something is missing from the story or the relationship with the coach didn't go how he wanted it to. Yeah, that's kind of what I think Xavier was saying, and maybe even Mo as well. Like, and I'm gonna be honest with you, that's sort of how I'm leaning. Again, this person was in a position of authority, so he was wrong. Full stop. Period. He was wrong. But I think that maybe there was more of a relationship there, which might account for, like somebody said, I don't know if it was Tracy or somebody said a minute ago, which might account for why this young man was disciplined as well. What were you gonna say, Jane?
Um, I'm like you. I don't believe in victim blaming, but I've lived a very long time, and people tell me things. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had several quote unquote straight men tell me that they instigated inappropriate relationships with closeted gay men in college. Okay.
Mm.
And they sort of took it as, ha ha ha, that was just something I did. I have heard many young men say, a mouth is a mouth, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They don't necessarily, we've all talked about the download culture that exists among African American men, among men of color in general, among athletes in particular. I don't know. I'm in agreement with the guys who are saying, first of all, this does sound like a DL situation gone wrong. It sounds like some college shenanigans and chicanery. You out there thinking you grown and you can't handle grown up consequences because he is a kid. So it's very easy to manipulate him and get him to do things that he doesn't want to do, or he thinks he's in the power position because he's the object of desire, when actuality he's being manipulated. And when he figures that out, maybe he found out he wasn't the only one. There's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
But a lot of people get into situations just like this and they get their feelings hurt. I don't know how I feel about the catfish story, because I don't know how I feel about the catfish story because honestly, catfish has been out since 2020, 2013. I checked. Everybody gave warning signs about
Not I
catfish,
checked.
big subject. I do not know. I mean, you would literally have to be living under a rock not to think there's a possibility of being catfish. This just requires a lot of naivety. And, God, I can't talk this afternoon. But this requires a lot of naivety that I just can't process in my brain. I know he's 19. I know he's away from home for the first time. And I can think of a lot of things that could do it and that could cause you to make a lapse in judgment like this.
Mm-hmm.
And this story is one proof of that. This is a horrible story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean it's not true.
Uh,
It's just that it doesn't stand up to the scrutiny of me pulling it apart. Like I can pull it apart in about
Right.
15 minutes by asking 3 questions. You know, like, okay, so you
Uh,
were being blackmailed. Did you ever try to find out who did it? Who was blackmailing you?
yeah.
That was my first question.
I definitely feel like the coach was taking advantage of this man, and I feel like it ended. The reason it went public and it ended was because of something that he did to upset the coach. So I feel like he wasn't deserving of losing his scholarships or anything like that. But I feel like once he may have been kicked off the team or something like that, this boy decided to go public because he had a relationship. You know what? I don't want to, make it seem like he's lying, but I feel like there was definitely something deeper. And I feel like this catfish story was to cover up the video that had now been published of them being intimate, or, him getting fellatio from somebody. He needed a reason to explain that. So here goes the cat. A lady online told me to make the video, so that's why it exists. I think they were just together, and for whatever reason they're not together no more, so now it's playing out in the courts.
Yeah, that's my question. You just said something interesting. I apologize. I don't know your name. But you just said something very interesting to me. Did you just say that he lost his scholarship and he wasn't allowed to play anymore?
Yeah, he said he
Yeah.
lost his scholarship. Yeah.
That is a motivator. That is a motivator.
Excuse me,
Because I've
y'all.
tutored some of those guys. I've tutored athletes before. Child, they yeah, that would drive them over the edge. And that is a motivate. That does make. I don't know. I'm not even gonna say that. Yeah, that's a big motivator because they know once they get kicked out of school, it's hard. It's a hard knock life because they can't stay in school without that scholarship. Period.
Yeah.
They don't have. They usually don't have academic prowess. They just don't.
Yeah. I again,
Yeah.
like I said, for me, like I said, do I think this young man was a victim? Absolutely, he was a victim.
Agree.
But I just think his story,
It
and
needs
it
work.
may be right, and it may be because he was embarrassed, it may be, there could be any number of reasons, but I just think his story, it, some tightening up. And it's unfortunate. Well, no, nope. Let me rewind what I was going to say because nope, I don't mean what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say it's unfortunate because if Juan Dixon knew about the behavior of this young man and didn't do anything about it, had this happened to someone else and nothing was done or wasn't addressed, or when this young man came to Juan to say, "Hey, your coach is doing this to me," and Juan did not respond in the way that he should have responded, then he should be dealt with accordingly. But if and that's all, then I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna leave that there.
Can I
You
help
know.
you out here? Can we entertain the possibility that if we go with the subject, go with the premise that was embarrassed, that's understandable. Agreed. So, how likely would he be to go to Juan and tell Juan the complete story? Because if he lies or he tries to narrate in the way that he's telling this narrative, oh, I could see myself being like, "There's nothing I could do about that."
I
If he,
doubt he told Juan. He probably told Juan the same catfish story, and I don't know. Right now is his word against. It's really his word against nobody's because the school hasn't released a statement. So right now it's his
Okay.
version of the story. So we don't know what Juan said. We know what he's saying Juan said. We don't know what Juan's response was because again, we don't know. Um,
right, we don't know
I,
how he told Juan either, because he's gonna have to prove that. Unfortunately, you know what I
yeah,
mean.
Yeah.
because
He,
we know that
Also,
the
if
first
the
story he
catfish
told.
lady, I'm
Right. We
sorry,
know
if
that
the
the first
catfish
story he
lady has
told
to,
was that he lied to his father and said he wanted to get off the team because it was too much drug use. So we know that was the first story he told. He didn't tell his father nothing about no catfish or nothing.
mm-hmm.
right.
Which is understandable if again, he doesn't want to be outed. I mean, that's understandable that he wouldn't tell his father, "Hey, this is what happened."
Yeah.
But again, those are going to be, y'all know how this stuff goes. All it's going
Yeah.
to take is the attorney for the school is going to say, "Well, wait a minute. Well, which version of the story is what really happened?"
It's
Like
real.
it's
Right.
not going to be hard for an attorney to sort of pick it apart.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because for you to do something like that, in order for you to make a case like that, they tell like um assault victims that regardless of whether they're of their gender or gender identity, they tell them journal incidents, keep a running record, gather all your information, etc. So if he had a he said she said conversation with Juan, I'm not saying that Juan would do this. I'm not saying he's not an actual man, but he could clearly say, "I don't know what this kid talking about. I ain't never seen this boy except in practice. He ain't came to me and told me nothing." Or he told me something
Mhm.
about some catfish story and it made no
Uh,
sense to me and I didn't pay no mind to it.
Mhm.
you made a
It's
good point
definitely
saying that, Jane. You said that if if he told Juan the same story he told us, it's very confusing and very easy for Juan to, brush it off.
Mm-hmm.
But like they said, this lady, this catfish, quote unquote, definitely said that the coach was gonna set something up for them to do this illegal activity. So if he got that, if he can prove these receipts and prove that, the coach, how can this catfish, quote unquote, say that your coach is going to set something up for you to make explicit videos? That's where it gets shaky. And if he told Juan about that, Juan is wrong. He should have
Well,
But
been
again, he's going to
investigating.
have to be able to prove that he told. He's going to have to be able to prove two
That
things:
happened.
one, that he told Juan about it, and two, that Juan's response when he said, "Oh, yeah, this guy has some mental illness and blah blah blah." Because part of his lawsuit is that they should have never had him in that position to begin with. But you have to prove that they knew
Yeah.
that he'd done this before. That you have to prove that.
look, it's really hard.
And even
Mental
if he does have the text, who's to say that you showed Juan? You got to prove showing Juan.
Right, you have to prove that you. I believe that he can prove what the assistant coach did. I just don't know how much he can prove that Juan and them knew, or that the athletic director knew, and he's alleging that they knew. That's the question. Like, I don't know. That's what he's going to have to prove.
Well,
And
I'm
that's
gonna,
where I have another question. If they
Mhm.
did know, how did they know? Was it because you guys were in a relationship and that was widely known?
Right.
Okay, so I'm real uncomfortable with the fact that he's roping in people with deep pockets rather than going after the main offender. That's what I'm really uncomfortable with, because when I'm listening through the facts of the case, I'm like, okay, Juan is on TV. Juan got a little money, right? Head coach got a little
Not according
money.
to Robyn.
Well,
So don't about listen. This is Coppin State. None of them have money. He's suing the school because what he's saying is that the school should have known, and that the school did not protect him once he told them. That's what
that's
he.
such a
That's the
different.
reason why the school would be in this situation. The school would be named a coach. This would be the same in any situation, whether it was Juan Dixon or Joe Blow, because what he's saying is Juan Dixon, as the head coach, knew that about this guy's behavior. The athletic director knew, and that they should have never hired him. And so the school is liable for hiring him and putting him in a position of authority, knowing that he had these behaviors. That's why these people are
So he's
named.
that he has a history, that this man had a history of mental illness and predatory behavior. The school knew about it. The whole coaching faculty knew about it. He can prove it, and he's saying
That's
y'all
what he's saying.
know
Yeah,
about it.
I have a question.
sure.
So if the assistant coach, the man, was originally a student who got, kind of moved up the ranks to become the assistant coach, did it start with the guy when he was still just a student, working his way up to being the assistant coach? Because you said
Ooh, you know what?
2018.
Good question.
Because
So the best that I
catfishing
can
does
gather,
sound very millennial.
is that he was like a player coach. So he was still a student, which means that
Oh, that's a whole
right,
that's gonna get massive. He was a student,
coach.
a
Because
student coach.
like, if you think about it, right? So if he was a student coach at the time, like, so I think that's the piece that I'm trying to understand. Like, was he the student coach at the time that the text messaging and the pictures and all of that stuff started,
At least
or
part
was
of the
he
time,
had
yeah.
already moved into full-blown assistant coaching, no student involved, when the acts and all that stuff started? So it's like, and I guess I think of it from an HR brain, right? Because for me, it's more like, if you're two on the same level and y'all
Right.
sleep together, they ain't got nothing to do with me. Fine. But as soon as you are in a place of authority over this person, hey, y'all need to let me know, because this probably ain't going to be a good thing and somebody needs to get moved. right?
Mhm.
So my thought is like, did it start when they were both technically still students, or did it start when he had already moved into the student assistant coach role or assistant coach role? But when it said like some things were in 2018, some things were in 2020, I'm like, that's a long window of time. But so I think maybe the like the actual acts part started in 2020.
So
So
the
that's just a lot.
best that I can gather is that there was an overlap. That's the best that I can gather. I don't know for certain when, but I know that at some point in time, the guy was acting as an assistant coach, but he was still a student. He was still a student and that's so he was in that in between window, right? He was
Like
still a
in grad
student,
school or something.
but he
Mm-mm.
was on the coaching staff, but he wasn't full-time staff because he was still a student. So he wasn't a full-time staff member, but he was acting in the capacity of a coach.
I'll give you an example. When I worked for my school's literary magazine. I was the marketing editor for like
Excuse me.
for like 4 semesters, right? For well,
Mm.
actually 6 semesters. Okay. So um in that capacity, I was a mature student, but I wasn't on the level with a professor. But if I dated professors, and I'm not saying whether I did or didn't, but if I dated professors, I'm grown. Don't nobody care what we do. Technically, I'm still a student, right?
Right.
Okay. So it's giving
Even though I
TA.
still have administrative um,
Right.
duties, and I get a, but
Excuse me.
I don't get a salary. I get a stipend as a student, and I am not considered on par with a professor, and I'm considered a peer of my fellow classmates. So if I dated one of
Oh,
they
you
wouldn't
know what?
mm-hmm.
I see. I kind of see where the trouble's coming in because if he's an assistant coach, why did he lose his scholarship? I guess the head coach will have to know something if he lost his scholarship.
No, because he could have lost his scholarship for performance.
Before, okay, that is
No,
true.
I'm
Or
just
grade or GPA.
yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The burden, unfortunately, the burden is going to be on him to make the connection between his complaint and him losing his scholarship.
Right.
Yeah, because one of the reasons corporations, schools don't want you fraternizing is just because it's messy. It's very mucky murdy. Because, okay, so how old was this assistant coach? What was he, 20? And you
I'm gonna say, but
uh,
somewhere between 20 and 25 because he was a senior. I mean, assuming he started college at right out of high school, he was a senior when all this happened. So
right,
somewhere
that's what I'm
between,
saying.
you know
And
what
it
I'm saying?
definitely, you know that as well as I do, really be, you got to be, that's a young man's game. They don't leave you on the team that long. You don't have many seniors, I mean, older students who are past, who are that far advanced, who are on the team and also in faculty, assisting the coach.
I mean, listen. We get in the weeds now because
I,
again, Coppin State isn't like a major. Like we're not. I mean, you probably could play at Coppin State. You know,
oh, is
but
that
your
where he
point
is?
is valid though. But your point is valid. Your point is valid.
No, I'm
Um,
sorry. I'm thinking that they're at a, oh, I was getting ready to say something. I was getting ready to use a word. I was thinking that they were at a different type of school. I thought I heard a different name. I'm not going to comment any further than that because that would be rude.
no, they're at Coppin State. It's a small HBCU in Baltimore. So yeah,
Well,
Right.
that's
And
another,
realistically, they probably are taking, student coaches.
yeah.
And
And
yeah.
that's another political hot potato being at a HBCU. I've heard the rules are different there. I didn't go to one, but I've heard there's a weird morality code. I don't
Where?
understand it. At HBCUs, like I've talked to
Girl, no. I went to no ma'am. No
Oh,
ma'am. I went to a
but
HBCU. Ain't no weird morality code. No
oh,
ma'am. No
oh,
ma'am.
wait a minute, time out. I have
No.
friends who are constantly telling me, "Oh, you couldn't do that at my school because I went to a HBCU. They didn't play that. Like they
But
were
what do you
very
mean? I mean, when you say morality code, like I'm not. What do you tell me? What you mean? What you mean?
well. One of the things that I heard was like,
ooh,
Oh, I lost.
there's an appearance of like it's almost like church rules where what you do
ooh,
on Saturday night is different than what you do on Sunday morning. Like people are playing that game. There's a lot of respectability politics at HBCUs. That's what I was told.
oh.
I
Well,
don't
how
know
No,
does
that
that
to be true
relate to
I don't
this?
think I
for
understand what you're
HBCU.
saying.
I
But
Do
didn't.
you
okay.
like would that relate in the sense of they're focused on their reputations or what?
Well, it's kind of like I okay. So she was sourcing outfits for some of the sororities and fraternities, and I
Oh,
said, "Oh, you should get them a little skater dress with this." And she said, "They'll never go for that. It's got to be down to the knees, and the neckline has to be up here." And I said, "Well, everybody wants a little sexy something. I mean, the young girls want something nice too. It ain't got to be out there." It's like, no, we have a standard. And
yeah.
so
But
it
that could have something. But that could have something to do with the sorority itself, because there's certain things that you're not allowed to wear if you are representing the sorority. There's certain way that you are not supposed. Let me put it that way. That you are not supposed to be dressed if
but
you're representing, especially so. That may not necessarily be, but I will say now. This is what I'll say, and then because I don't want to go too deep into the woods, because I got to get off of here anyway. What I'm
mhm.
going to say is this: for example, at my HBCU, we had what we called aces twice a week. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we had aces. And aces were in the chapel. And you had to dress for aces. You had to wear a skirt. You could not go to aces in pants. You had to wear a skirt. And when we had special aces, we had special, they called them vespers. Then there was a certain dress. You had to wear a white blouse with a black skirt. That was a part of the tradition of the school. That
Mhm.
was a part of the tradition. I can't speak for other schools because I didn't go to any other, I didn't go to any other undergrads. I mean, when I went to graduate school, I went to uh, a PWI for graduate school. So I don't know what that looks like somewhere else. But I will say that those types of things do exist. They are traditions.
Yeah,
But
I,
but again, that what you're talking about may be specific to the fact that with sororities, and fraternities as well, there's a certain expectation of dress when you're representing the organization.
well, I'm respectfully, God ain't done with me, but I'm a heathen, right? So the thing that I will say is that a lot of times there are rules that
Mm.
are just foreign to me because I did not culturally grow up that way. Does that make any
Mhm.
sense?
No,
So
that makes
How
no that makes sense. And it's
that,
and there's nothing. There's no wrong. There's no like, oh, that's right or
oh no,
that's
I didn't
wrong.
take it that way at all.
Yeah,
I hope I
yeah.
didn't come off that way. No,
No,
I
no, no. I just didn't. When you start saying morality, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I just wanted to understand what you were saying. That's all.
that's the only word that I could equate it to that made sense in my brain, if that
No
makes sense.
problem. I just listen.
Mhm.
I'm very protective of my HBCU, so I just wanted to be clear what you were saying, Crawl, because I
but
love my HBCU. So
if I can ask Jane, what point were you trying to connect HBCUs having like a morality or whatever point,
Well,
what were
it's
you connecting that to this?
well, the thing is that if you're at a HBCU, you're at a historically black college, you're constantly being bombarded with history, legacy, responsibility.
hmm
The tenets of
hmm
stewardship. And
right.
so to a young, immature man, and I would think that that would be even further driven home in an athletic situation, and that would make being gay and engaging in risque behavior a double no. You know what I mean? Like a double
Yeah.
no. I think that if he were a girl and this happened with a guy, she would be in fear of either gaining a bad reputation or somehow being set down from whatever sport she had. But I
Right.
guess what I was trying to say is that a lot of HBCUs remind me a lot of Black religiosity as it comes to the way the Black church handles scandal. Does that make any sense?
Yeah,
So,
and again, we also have to, and I got to get ready to go, but we also have to remember too that when we talk about athletics, we are
mhm,
talking about a level of toxic masculinity when it comes to athletics, and
yeah.
a level of homophobia
Mhm,
as well. So, and that's not necessarily a HBCU thing. That's just when we talk about
Okay.
men and sports,
Yep.
and so there's
Masculinity.
that exists as well, and that's probably, or that may be an element of what's going on in this as well.
Yep.
So I have to get ready to go, you guys. I want to thank everybody for coming up.
Thank
Any
you for
final
having us.
quick final words? Anybody want to share before we get off? I'll start with Tracy and then I'll work my way around. Tracy, any final thoughts, words?
Um, if the boy told Juan what he said and Juan did nothing, I'm gonna need y'all to get to do something about y'all. Y'all golden child over
Mm,
there. I'm gonna need
Ooh.
y'all to do something about that one.
okay. Xavier, final thoughts?
If what the boy is saying is true, Juan got to go. And I guess Robyn might be glad for that prenup because he's going to be coming for her check too since he ain't got no money with his broke ass.
Right. She might need she might need that prenup after all. Okay. All right. Mo, final thoughts.
Like the video. We're
Well,
gonna
thank you,
set,
boo. Yes, like this
of
video,
course,
honey. Like this video.
steady road to
Um,
10K and subscribe. And all I got to
yes,
say
we
is,
trying to get to
let's just
10K.
hope that Robyn is not pulled into this mess. I really want justice. He was that student really went through something, but I hope it don't bring shame to this HBCU or that program because that's what it's really trying to do. I hope they settle it.
Okay. Jane, any final thoughts?
yeah, unfortunately, based on what I know now, I could change my mind later. I don't think the young man has much of a case, it doesn't sound like. But this is actually really good for Juan and Robyn. They need a storyline. They do. And
They
this
really do.
they desperately need a storyline. And this is something that will make them relevant. It'll give positive, they can spin it to give positive promotion to the HBCU. And hopefully girl, I'm just praying for everybody because this is messy. Oh, and thank you for having me, sweetie. I appreciate
No
that.
problem. I appreciate when you guys come up. I don't drop the link that often, but when I do, I appreciate y'all's insight, child. I
Thank you for having us.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna get off of here. I see more and more people are going
Peace.
live talking about it. So more information will be coming out, and we will definitely update y'all accordingly. I'm getting ready to get up off of here, and I will talk to y'all later. Mwah. Peace.
Have a good night, sweetie.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, babes.